My friends, the desert is on fire and the smoke has just reached your fuel tank. While you look at the price at the pump and try to understand why gasoline is so expensive, a silent geopolitical earthquake has just happened in the Persian Gulf. The air is filled with smoke from Iranian missiles and the Strait of Hormuz has become a wartime choke point, but the punch in the gut came from Abu Dhabi. The United Arab Emirates announced its departure from OPEC. And today we're going to open the dossier that reveals how the Emirates betrayed Saudi Arabia and why this will directly affect your wallet here in Brazil. What is Lula going to do to protect Brazilians, to protect our wallets? Stay until the end and you'll understand. Now forget what the mainstream media says about technical adjustments. What happened in April 2026 is the end of an era. The United Arab Emirates, the third largest oil producer in OPEC, decided that they no longer need Saudi Arabia. In practice, the UAE's departure means that OPEC has lost its enforcer of discipline and global control over oil prices has just collapsed. The direct result is that Brazil, which depends on the international market to set Petrobras' prices, is now at the mercy of a volume war. Here's the key detail. The relationship between the United Arab Emirates and Saudi Arabia, which once seemed unbreakable, has finally been torn apart. Abu Dhabi no longer wants to support Riyadh's delusions of grandeur. They're playing a different game now. A game where oil is no longer the end goal, but the fuel for the transition that Saudi Arabia, stuck in pharaonic projects, can't keep up with. And to understand the extent of the damage, you need to understand the bankruptcy of Saudi megalomania. Saudi Arabia needs oil above $80 a barrel to finance Vision 2030. Do they need the money to build NEOM? That 170-kilometer linear city that promised robots and flying taxis, but today barely reaches 2 kilometers of actual construction. Riyadh is burning through oil cash on projects that don't generate returns, while youth unemployment in the kingdom remains high and fiscal deficits keep piling up. Oil accounts for more than 60% of Saudi revenue. Are they desperate? Meanwhile, the United Arab Emirates plays in a much more strategic way. They diversified their economy in the 1990s when Dubai learned to swim without oil as a life jacket. Their production cost is one of the lowest on the planet. They don't need sky-high prices, they need volume. And in practice, the Emirates invested $122 billion to reach 5 million barrels per day by 2030. The OPEC quotas were suffocating them, leaving is pure liberation. They want to monetize every drop of oil now, before the fossil fuel window closes in 2040 and leaves trillions in stranded assets underground. While Riyadh still thinks it can float forever, Abu Dhabi is already building a boat for the next century. But here's the key detail. The United Arab Emirates didn't take this step blindly. Is there a predatory axis watching every move? Russia, which has been acting as a free rider in OPEC? While Saudi Arabia was cutting production to keep prices up, Moscow kept selling oil under the table to finance its war machine. The Emirates got tired of being useful idiots in this arrangement that only benefited Vladimir Putin's coffers. And Washington? Well, Washington celebrates in silence. The United Arab Emirates' exit from OPEC is the end of the cartel that benefited Moscow. Without Abu Dhabi, Riyadh is left isolated facing the Russians, and the United States sees the weakening of a cartel that has always used oil as a political weapon. And what about China, you ask? Well, Beijing is the new master of global demand. And what's happening is that the Emirates are closing direct supply deals with China and India, completely bypassing Saudi Arabia's control. This allows the Emirates to secure their market share in the countries that will actually consume energy in the coming decades, while Saudi Arabia insists on the discipline of a cartel that's dying. The global flow of energy will now follow pragmatism, not ideology. The Emirates sign bilateral agreements, secure their cash flow, and leave Saudi Arabia stuck in a framework from 1960. Yes, that's when OPEC was founded with the goal of controlling and protecting the petrodollar. But pay attention, because this is where the secret gets deeper and the second level of the strategy is revealed. Do you think leaving OPEC is just about money? Wrong. It's about physical survival and intelligence. In the Israeli theater, the opposition between the former allies became scandalous. The Emirates not only signed the Abraham Accords, they took them as far as possible. In practice, Israel sent for the first time in history a complete Iron Dome system to Arab soil. This is historic, my friends. Never before have Jews gone to protect Arabs, and neither the other way around, but everything has changed. Today, soldiers from the Israel Defense Forces operate radars on Emirati soil, intercepting Iranian missiles that cross the skies over the Gulf. But there's even more to it than that. Intelligence leaks mention a 5-story underground complex near Dubai Airport, operating in conjunction with the Mossad. This bunker is connected to 1.5 million cameras and Israeli satellites using mining units, behavioral analysis, and voice print databases. The result is that the Emirates now have an intelligence shield that Saudi Arabia, hesitant and caught between internal radical pressure, still does not have the courage to pursue. While the Emirates embrace Tel Aviv as a defense partner, Saudi Arabia still flirts with the idea but hasn't taken the step. Oil is no longer the end goal. It is just the fuel to pay for this shared artificial intelligence and defense infrastructure. Now let's bring this war right to your backyard. How does this affect Brazil, you ask me? Shimon Oliveira, and now what will become of us? Well, the direct result is a double-edged sword. If Brazil were well managed, which is not our current reality, we could make a lot of money from this. With OPEC split and the Emirates flooding the market, Brazil could become a reliable and stable supplier for the West. We could attract massive investments to the pre-salt and turn Petrobras into an export powerhouse without the constraints of a cartel. But look at the scary detail. What we see today is the opposite. If we continue with the policy of artificially holding down prices and using Petrobras as a political tool to mask inflation, the exit of the Emirates from OPEC will be our downfall. In practice, if the global market enters a volume war, that is, a massive quantity of oil and the price per barrel plummets, Petrobras loses its profit margin in the pre-salt, which has an extremely high extraction cost. If the government insists on subsidies while the world is burning, the company enters a debt spiral with no way back. And the result is a zombie Petrobras that doesn't invest and serves only to drain the national treasury. What remains in the end is a country that has black gold underground but needs to import expensive gasoline because it destroyed its refining capacity and its ability to set market benchmarks. The betrayal in the desert could be the final push for the collapse of our largest state-owned company if we don't change course now. And honestly, now it's too late and Lula won't do absolutely anything to solve this issue. He will just kick the can down the road and it will be up to the next president to defuse this bomb. The desert has never been static. The dunes have shifted. And today they have moved to Abu Dhabi. And the wind blows strong enough to shake the foundations of Saudi Arabia, the world's energy powerhouse. This is not the end of OPEC, but it is the beginning of a new gulf. A gulf where oil still pays the bills, but artificial intelligence, shared defense with Israel, and the long-term vision of the United Arab Emirates set the rules of the game. The system is being pressured from all sides, and what you see on the surface, the price at the pump, is just the surface layer of the disinformation. The real war is in the codes, in the underground bunkers of Dubai, and in the financial flows that the media consortium ignores. And that's why we deal with these details in depth, because well-grounded information is the only thing that separates your perception from manipulation by the system. And for those who want to take the next step and see what the algorithm tries to silence, the heat maps, the uncut intelligence reports, and the behind-the-scenes analyses, the way is through our exclusive platform. There we have no censorship, no filters, and that's where I open up the black box on what's really being discussed in the corridors of power. The QR code is on your screen right now. The link is in the description and in the first pinned comment. There are already more than 3,000 subscribers who support our battle in the information war. If you want a place where culture and values matter, join me on my series and movies channel. There we share tips and comments about what is really worth watching, analyzing stories that strengthen character without woke culture, without whining. Don't be caught off guard. Movies seem to have predicted today's events, even in the Middle East. The link is in the description and pinned comment. It also appears here on the card so you can click and keep watching. Now subscribe to the channel, turn on the notification bell, leave a like on the video, and shield your mind. I'm Shimon Oliveira, and I'll see you in the next video. See you then.